Another new patch is set to drop, which means it's time to update our solo carry list heading into 13.13. As always, we will be covering 3 champions for every single role that have the greatest ability to impact games for the current meta. And just before we get into it, if you want to improve fast and get the rank you've always wanted, then go to SkillCapped.com. Stop wasting your time grinding thousands of games only to see no progress. With SkillCapped, you'll uncover the secrets to climbing ranks fast that only take a few minutes to learn and can be immediately applied in your next game. The best part is it's completely risk-free to try, as you're kept safe with our rank up insurance. If you don't significantly improve while actively using SkillCapped, then you get your money back, no questions asked. So what are you waiting for? Get the rank you've always wanted by clicking the link in the description below. Alright, let's start things off by covering our 3 top lane solo carries. Riven is going to be our first solo carry selection for this patch. The 2 matchups you gotta worry about when picking Riven are Malphite and Renekton, so using your ban on one or the other is a good idea. Other than that, Riven fares quite well right now against other fighters like Aatrox, Gangplank, and Darius. With Riven, it's all about abusing your superior quick trade power to whittle the enemy down, gain the health advantage, and then look for an all-in. Due to Riven's incredible mobility, she can punish cooldowns better than any top laner, so if the enemy wastes a key spell on the wave, you need to be ready to pounce. The build for Riven is a Ravenous Hydra Rush into Black Cleaver 2nd and Eclipse 3rd. Conqueror is the optimal Keystone rune with Triumph, Tenacity, and Last Stand. Run Nimbus Cloak and Transcendence for secondaries. Another new addition to the solo carry list for top lane this patch is going to be Kayle. Something that makes Kayle very reliable for solo queue right now is the fact she can succeed with an AP or AD build. AP is definitely superior if you have the option, but going for a Kraken into Rageblade core is very solid as well if your team is lacking physical damage. Champs with high mobility and early kill threat are who Kayle has more difficulties against, so using your ban on Aurelia is a good choice. It's all about farming as efficient as possible and hitting your level 11 spike as quickly as you can. Especially if the enemy jungler is a strong ganker, you really want to try and keep the wave on your side of the lane early on. Kayle is super vulnerable to ganks early on due to lacking a gap close, and one early death can be extremely detrimental. Teaching wave control in a video like this is not really possible, so our Master in Minutes course on wave control found on our website is a great resource if you're looking to learn more. One thing we picked up on in regards to Kayle's skill order is that high elo players prioritize Q max way more than low elo players. No matter the elo, the win rate of Q max is much higher than that of E max as well, so definitely look to try out the Q max if you haven't already. Both Lethal Tempo and Fleet are viable keystone options on Kayle. Lethal is going to be the more offensive dueling option, while Fleet provides better sustain and survivability in those more difficult lanes. Despite Malphite being a tank, his solo carry power is not to be undermined. Mal can build full defensive and still output more damage than fighter champs due to his full combos burst power and auto attack steroid from W. Mal also hard counters so many of the meta fighters, as most of them are AD, so he just gets to stack armor and easily win out in the 1v1. 2 matchups you want to avoid are Sylas and Mordekaiser, and if you're completely set on spamming Mal, then Sylas is definitely the perma ban we would recommend. With such a strong engaged champ like Malphite, really try to work on your objective control and force the enemy to come into you when you have a lead. Oftentimes the demise of players on these heavy engaged champs is that they'll go too deep, try for crazy dive plays, and just throw over shutdowns in the process. A Malphite waiting in the fog of war is way more lethal than a Malphite out in the open where the entire enemy team can see you. It's also way easier to hit your R consistently if the enemy has little to no time to react to it. The build for Malphite is an Iceborne Gauntlet Rush into Sunfire Aegis 2nd and a situational tank item 3rd. Grasp is the go-to keystone in melee lanes where you'll be maxing W out first, whereas Comet is best in ranged matchups where you'll be maxing Q. Riot has laid down the nerf bat on 5 different junglers, so a new addition to our top 3 for this patch is Rengar. With how the past few patches have played out, Rengar has found himself in a phenomenal spot and arguably the best assassin jungler now. Kindred and Rek'Sai were the only 2 matchups analytically that Rengar was losing to in 13.12, so with both champs nerfed, he's going to be thriving even more. Getting to that level 6 is really key to begin accelerating the game with Rengar, so banning out a strong ganking jungler like Jarvan or Rek'Sai is a good idea. Making sure you get something out of every R usage is very important to succeed on the champ. Before you even get into the game, mapping out which lanes are going to give you the highest % chance of a kill and executing on that game plan is key. For example, if your mid lane is playing Malzahar, who has super easy setup, while your bot lane is Soraka Ezreal, who lack any CC lockdown, prioritizing mid is the higher % play. The core build for Rengar is a Duskblade Rush into Essence Reaver 2nd and Lord Dominik's 3rd. Roll with First Strike as the keystone, followed by Free Boots, Futures Market, and Cosmic Insight. The best secondaries are Sudden Impact and Relentless Hunter. Another assassin jungler making the top 3 for 13.13, this time of the magic damage variety, is Evelynn. Eve and Rengar both have very very similar spikes that they're looking to play towards, as the level 6 on both champs are incredibly powerful. Pre-6 is not where Eve thrives, so just like Rengar, using your ban on a strong ganker like Jarvan or Rek'Sai will work well. Being on the map and looking for those picks plays prior to objective spawning is how you're going to get the most mileage out of Evelynn. If you can find that catch play 1 minute prior to a dragon spawning, you can snowball so hard off that one play. If the enemy team tries to contest the objective, you can wipe them and pick up another 4 kills, or if they don't contest, it's just a free dragon to make your whole team stronger. The build to run on Evelynn is a Rocket Belt Rush into Magi's 2nd and Rabadon's 3rd. Rune Page is Electrocute with Sudden Impact, Eyeball Collection, and Relentless Hunter, followed by Absolute Focus and Gathering Storm for secondaries. It's a trifecta of assassin junglers in the solo carry top 3 for this patch, as Kha'Zix is going to round it out. If you like a jungler with a little more skirmish power and ability to thrive more in extended fights, then siding with Ka over Evelynn or Rengar is the play. Ban-wise for Kha'Zix, Rengar is definitely one of the best options right now. Something you really gotta focus on with Kha'Zix more so than other assassin junglers is looking for catch plays when enemies are completely split from their team. Grabbing a sweeper, having a control ward, and setting up in areas where the enemy team does not see you is key. You gotta have patience on someone like Ka, because brute forcing 5v5 fights is not where he thrives. Controlling vision and forcing enemies to face check into you is how you're going to dominate games with Kha'Zix. The best build for Ka is a Duskblade Rush into Edge of Night 2nd and Cyrilda's Grudge 3rd. Grab First Strike with Free Boots, Futures Market, and Cosmic Insight for primary runes. Best secondaries are Sudden Impact and Relentless Hunter. Moving on to the mid lane top 3 for this patch, our first feature is going to be Talon. Talon has been on the rise as of recent with a new build popping up. We've seen full lethality Talon in the past, and we've also seen full Bruiser, but this build is a mix of both. Ravenous Hydra is the rush item to provide incredible pushing power. You then follow up with Black Cleaver for added durability, and round the core out with some lethality by building Duskblade. Damage is amazing, and you're deceptively hard to kill due to the health from Cleaver and untargetability from Duskblade. Getting to that Tiamat purchase as quick as possible, and then using your priority to influence the map is how you're going to find great success with this build. Matchup wise for Talon, he does great into many of the meta picks, however some more niche picks like Pantheon and Vex are both good ban choices. Rune Page is going to be Conqueror with Triumph, Tenacity, and Last Stand. Best secondaries are Free Boots and Biscuits. Another mid lane champ who is extremely oppressive for solo queue and has incredible snowball power is Uxin. Uxin has very few losing matchups and does especially well into most of the highly picked melee mids. The one melee champ who can cause some issues is Yasuo due to his mobility and wind wall, so he's worth a ban. Early skirmish of Uxin is super strong due to the long range gap close and reset from E, so keeping that lane priority and being ready to roam over to a jungle fight is key. Similar to Talon, the way you will find the most success on Uxin is by shoving and looking for opportunities to influence the map. If there are no roam plays available, a little sneaky play you can run on Uxin is dip into Fog of War, wait for the enemy to waste their spells on the wave trying to shove it out, then gank your own lane and either get a massive chunk off or a free kill. The build for Uxin is a Kraken Slayer Rush into Gale Force 2nd and Wits End 3rd. Take Press the Attack for the Keystone Rune with Presence of Mind, Alacrity, and Coup de Grace. Bone Plating and Overgrowth are for secondaries. The best AP assassin for solo queue rounding out the top 3 for mid lane is Fizz. Past few patches have been really great for Fizz, as Enchanters falling heavily in power helps him out greatly with his ability to find picks. Less protective supports in meta means more easy picking for Fizz on the enemy ADC. Matchups are quite good right now as well, with Lissandra and Vlad being 2 of the few ban-worthy champs for Fizz. The first 3 levels with Fizz can heavily dictate how the rest of the game plays out. You really want to do your best to stay healthy until that level 3 spike, and then look to trade once you get it. If this means losing out on a few minions, then that's completely fine, as you can't afford to be low health at 3, or else you lose all agency in lane. Build for Fizz is a Luden's Rush into Zanya 2nd and Lichbane 3rd. Run Electrocute with Sudden Impact, Eyeball Collection, and Ingenious Hunter for primary runes. Triumph and Coup de Grace are the best secondaries. Without question, the best ADC for the majority of ranks in 13.13 is Miss Fortune. The fact Miss Fortune can abuse lethality builds right now is what's giving her the edge up on other ADCs. Ghostblade into the Collector is the 2-item core you should be looking to play for, as it's such a huge spike. The mobility and burst power of this core gives MF one of the most lethal mid-game teamfights for any ADC. You can run Duskblade in place of Ghostblade in games where you don't feel the movement speed will be as useful as the untargetability. Banning out a meta-engaged champ like Malphite or Hecarim is going to be worth it when playing MF right now. First Strike with Free Boots, Biscuits, and Cosmic Insight are for primary runes. Absolute and Gathering Storm are the way to go for secondaries. Another ADC who can really thrive in the early to mid-game and is great in skirmishes is Nilah. The issue with ADC a lot of the time is the fact the role tends to lack agency and the ability to start plays on your own, but that's not as much of an issue when playing Nilah. Nilah can be the engaged, diving in, and setting up plays with R, so if you want to have a bit of more control over how fights play out, the champ is a really great option. Level 6 is where you can really take over, as you're all in kill power, especially when with a melee CC support is amazing. You can start the playoff by diving in with R, and then as long as your support follows up, it's easy picking in the 2v2. The only ADC who can really limit your all-in power at level 6 is Xayah, so she's a good ban to consider. Gale Force completion is another huge spike as the catch power becomes even more insane. Second item is the Collector, and then Immortal Shield Bow works great as a third pickup. Conqueror is the Keystone Rune with Triumph, Bloodline, and Last Stand. Sudden Impact and Treasure Hunter are the optimal secondaries. Although the Duskblade interaction is being removed with Samira's ultimate, she's going to remain a top-tier ADC and will just pivot her build. What you can do now is instead of rushing Duskblade, rush the Collector. The Collector into Infinity Edge second and Bloodthirster third is going to be a very strong 3-item core. Ban-wise for Samira, if you're going to ban out an ADC, then Xayah is going to be one of the best options. Unlike with Neela, you do actually have to play off your support's engage a little more with Samira. You can't just dive right in by yourself most of the time, as stacking up passive is key to winning fights. Communicating with your support at level 6 and telling them to go in, then being ready to follow up on their engage is how you can look to set up plays. The rune page for Samira is Conqueror with Triumph, Bloodline, and Last Stand. Pick up Eyeball Collection and Treasure Hunter for secondaries. There has not been a better time in the past few months than right now to have Nautilus in your champion pool for support. With multiple enchanters nerfed last patch, it's given a lot more strength to these melee engage supports. Naut is one of the most easy to execute hook supports of them all, especially once you hit level 6, so the consistent carry power is great. Playing off the level 2 and level 6 spikes is very important on Nautilus, as you have great all-in kill threat at both points. The one support who can provide a bit of issue for Naut right now is Rel, as her peel power is difficult to play into, so she's a good ban to consider. For the core build, it's Even Shroud into Zeke second and Knight's Vow third. Glacial Augment is the best Keystone Rune with Hex Flash, Dematerializer, and Cosmic Insight, followed by Bone Plating and Unflinching for secondaries. Another really strong hook support in meta who takes a little more skill to pull off than Nautilus is Blitzcrank. The kill setup Blitz provides is some of the best for any support, as a flash E into hook combo is very difficult for the enemy to avoid. If you can hit the level 2 before the enemy, then playing for this combo, especially if your ADC is someone like Tristana or Lucian who can follow up really well, will net you a huge advantage right out of the gate. Rushing those early Moby boots and looking for roams plays off reset is really key to finding the most success on Blitz. You want to be fluid in how you approach each lane and be ready to adapt. If you're in a lane that seems botched and there's no way to come back, then trying to be more active with roams plays will often be the better choice. Morgana is always going to be one of the best bans for Blitz, as her black shield really limits your ability to be aggressive. Build to run as a Shirley's Rush into Zeke second and Knight's Vow third. Glacial is the best Keystone Rune with Hex Flash, Biscuits, and Cosmic Insight. Run Bone Plating and Unflinching for secondaries. Rounding out the video and the final solo carry support for 13.13 is going to be Rel. Rel is being hit with a few nerfs this patch, but she's been in such a strong spot prior to the changes that we don't see them negatively affecting her all that much. Rel absolutely smashes meta melee supports like Thresh, Nautilus, and Rakan, as champs that need to dive in to be effective are very easy for Rel to deal with. It's those longer ranged peel champs that like to sit back who can be more annoying for Rel, which makes Janna one of her better bans. Rel wants to play into comps that are heavy dive, and that is generally what is most popular in solo queue. Level 6 is really where Rel can start cooking, as her chain CC combo provides massive all-in power. If you notice the enemy ADC and support split up from each other, then flashing in and pulling the trigger on your full combo will have you picking up super easy kills. Build for Rel is an Even Shroud Rush into Zeke second and Knight's Vow third. Pick up Glacial for the Keystone Rune with Hex Flash, Dematerializer, and Cosmic Insight. Bone Plating and Unflinching are optimal secondaries. So that's all for this edition of the best solo carries, but if you want to improve fasting at the rank you've always wanted, then go to SkillCapped.com. With premium courses for every role and skill taught by the best players, SkillCapped is the perfect platform to help take your game to the next level. Take our wave control course. While you wait for your next game to start, you can learn freezing, fast pushing, slow pushing, bouncing waves, the list goes on, all in just a few minutes to maximize your improvement rate. Or maybe you just like seeing your opponent's health go to 0. Then you'll love our trading course. We even have a skill test at the end so you can see how good you really are. Players just like you are leaving 5-star reviews and raving at how helpful they are. That's not all we offer though, as every week we release 10 brand new Smurf commentaries where a challenger player teaches you how to climb out of the exact rank you're stuck in. If you're looking for something more personal instead, then we got you covered with one-on-one coaching from our trained challenger experts. All this seemed too good to be true? Well, don't worry, we're backed by a rank up guarantee. If you don't significantly improve while actively using SkillCapped, then you get your money back, no questions asked. So what are you waiting for? Click the link in the description below and get the rank you've always wanted. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.